Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. One of the more interesting announcements that came out this week was that Visa is going to actually be using stablecoins to settle some of its transactions. Now, the blockchain has often been seen as something that could disrupt a company like Visa, one of the biggest financial companies in the world, because it controls what we like to call the rails of the financial system. So how money gets from point A to point B, particularly from a customer to a merchant. And those merchants are paying massive fees to Visa. Oftentimes, Visa makes more money on something like a restaurant transaction than the restaurant does itself. That's the reality of Visa's business. Using stablecoins, and particularly the USDC token, which Coinbase is a 50% owner of the consortium that runs the USDC token, I think is a really interesting thing. It could actually make the blockchain more usable and inadvertently disrupt Visa itself. So I want to go through exactly what was announced and what to think about this and watch for in the future. My name is Travis Hoy. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And if you like this video, check out my newsletter, Asymmetric Investing, in the show notes. I'll go straight to the release. This is Visa's announcement saying that it will have settlement capabilities for USDC token. This yellow part that I highlighted is really the key, and it explains Visa's business and why they are so valuable today. When a customer uses Visa cards to make a purchase at any millions of locations, it goes on to say what they don't see is that funds used for their purchases need to be moved from their bank or the issuer to the merchant's bank, the acquirer. This is where Visa's treasury and settlement systems enable the clearing, settlement, and movement of billions of transactions per day seamlessly between 15,000 financial institutions and across more than 25 currencies globally. So basically, Visa is the medium of transaction between this, and it makes everything just work seamlessly in the background. That's why they have such a valuable network. That's why they're very difficult to disrupt, but that's also why they're so popular. One of the theories of the blockchain was that all of these things could happen in the background with contracts built on the blockchain. And that's effectively what Visa is doing itself. By leveraging stablecoins like the USDC and global blockchain networks like Solana and Ethereum, we're helping to improve the speed of cross-border settlement and providing modern option for our clients to easily send or receive funds from Visa's treasury. Now, Visa was nice enough to give us a nice little example of what this looks like. You can see that when the customer spends money, that money goes from the issuer bank through either Ethereum, Bankwire, or Solana, as the examples that they use here, to the acquiring bank, and then ultimately to the merchant. So this centerpiece right here is where Visa is generating all of its value. This is why it can command upwards of 2% of a financial transaction. And that's on top of the piece that is done by a company like Square or PayPal, the company that's actually the interface with either the customer or the merchant. But what they're doing in the middle is adding the value by just getting money from point A to point B. What I think is interesting here is that Visa is not actually necessary to do this. Visa is not the issuing bank. Visa is not the acquiring bank. Let's say that a customer had money in a Cash App account and they were buying something through PayPal. If those two companies wanted to say, hey, we will run the rails on the Solana blockchain and just send USDC tokens, which is a dollar token, from the Cash App to the PayPal app, they could do that without Visa. It could settle almost immediately because they could know that those funds are moving. They could even act as the treasury if you want to have the ability to do refunds or things like that. So what I think is interesting about this announcement is Visa is basically paving a path to disrupting itself potentially. As somebody who thinks that the blockchain is going to be very revolutionary for the financial future, I think this is a fascinating move because I think the USDC token is going to ultimately be used in a lot more places. That's one of the reasons that I'm very bullish on a company like Coinbase and the infrastructure that they're building for using the USDC token and other blockchains. But what I'm very interested to see is what do those interfaces for customers and for merchants do to potentially change the rails that money is moving on? Are they going to stick with a company like Visa that sits in the middle? You don't actually, as a customer, interact with Visa. You interact with the company that's issuing the Visa card or the merchant that has their own point of sale system. as far as a merchant or a customer goes, Visa is sort of an unnecessary piece of the financial puzzle, despite the fact that they have a ton of power in the current financial ecosystem. Is that if that's replaced by the blockchain, that could be very disruptive. So that's what I'm going to be watching, is what do these other companies do? How do they interact with this sort of disruptive technology? Because Visa leading the way is not something that I expected. But what do you think about Visa adopting the blockchain and potentially using this more? I'd love to hear your comments in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.